Hello and welcome back to the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, episode 53. I'm your host, Jake Burke, and joined, as always, by James St. Charles and Ted No Fun Ever, because he's a jerk Libby.
Yeah, basically.
James, can you explain why Ted's a jerk? Just for me, just off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head?
Yeah.
The one thing that probably pains me the most about Ted, he's always late.
Oh my God.
But not today. He was not late today.
I was so early today. I was the first one here.
Yeah, if anything, James was late, and then I was
on time.
Yeah.
I checked my time.
If we were in theater, James, on time is late, early is on time. Okay?
True.
Show up to rehearsal early.
Oh, that kind of theater. I was like,
yes.
Not the movie theater. But
yeah,
also,
if you're at the
showing up early just means you watch a movie.
Showing up on time, actually, to watch a movie is not late.
No.
You're already early.
Right. That's exactly right, because this is the 53rd episode of the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, where every Monday morning a new episode goes live on youtube.com, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Once a week, we sit down and Skype across 500 miles to talk about every video game related topic, like, is VR video games of the future? And I'm going to preview Returnal for everybody because I got to play a lot of hours of it this weekend, and I'm really liking it, and I'm excited to talk about it. And we will be having a review of Returnal next week. Will be our big deep dive on that game. If you like the show, remember to like, subscribe, share, do all of that jazz. And please, for the love of God, James, what do they have to do?
Nope.
They have to tell their mothers.
Exactly. Mother's Day is coming up, and there is no better Mother's Day gift than telling people about the Sidescape Gaming Podcast.
Nope.
No? Okay.
No.
Well, then let's just jump right into it, boys. We are going to be talking about a big topic that Ted actually wanted to talk about for quite some time, which was really reassuring when we started the show, and Ted went, so what's our topic today? So That's the kind of show energy we're bringing in.
Yep.
Ted, I want to know, and this question's directed at you. You've got a chair that swivels, ready for the future. Is VR, virtual reality, the future of video games?
Yes and no.
Wow.
So,
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it. Let's dive
into that. I think the biggest difference here is, do you mean gaming at home, or the arcade not arcade experience, the going out and kind of escape roomy, going to a place to do a thing kind of gaming experience? Because I think VR has a beautiful place there in
Yes.
kind of an escape room style setting.
True.
And I don't think it's got one in the home. I don't know. I'm gonna pass the baton to James, who actually has a home VR setup that he uses. James, you probably use VR at home the most. What do you think?
Probably, yeah. No, yeah. VR is the future. The problem, I feel, is it needs a lot of work to get to the masses. First off is price, which we all know, it's pricey.
Yeah, actually, let's dive into that real quick. So
can I jump in and on where we're talking price? I think when you look at VR from where it's funny because the big VR conversation was 4 or 5 years ago, when PlayStation, Valve, Oculus, everybody really threw their hat in the ring, kind of at the same time of we're doing VR.
Yeah.
And Nintendo's we're doing it too. You put a piece of cardboard on your face and you put the Switch in front of you, and that's virtual reality, baby.
Was that $100 for that cardboard?
It was like a Labo kit.
It was
the Labo.
The Labo. The journey was building it. Let's be real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like Legos. But I think the interesting thing is the price point of VR, because PlayStation VR at the time of initial inception was the premier this. We did it. We mastered the price point. We made it somewhat accessible because the first Oculus was super expensive. It was $800 or something, right?
Yeah, let's dive into it. So if you wanted to buy a VR headset today, your mom who watched this podcast,
yep,
and you were like, I need one of these. I got to get me some of that VR. Good. Right. There are 3 options for you.
Yeah.
The Oculus Facebook route, which is kind of the middle tier.
That's a good middle tier.
Yeah, we're talking
with the Go and stuff, right?
Yeah, we're
Quest.
talking
Quest 2. Yeah.
With the Quest, you don't need a PC to use to play the games. With the Rift, you do. We're talking $500-ish bucks. $900 if you don't want to log in with your Facebook account.
That's a thing?
Yep, they are selling a Facebookless Quest for an extra $400.
Huh.
So if you ever was wondering what your worth was, it's about $400.
Yeah.
Yeah, cheapest tier I believe is the PlayStation,
Yes.
right?
It's
I don't
400.
actually. Is it 400?
It
400?
might be
No,
lower.
then,
It's
then
lower
Oculus
now.
is cheaper than that because it's 300 or even something cheaper.
Yeah.
Ted, can you Google what the PlayStation VR is running at right
I'm
now?
staring at it.
It's
looks
probably
like,
more expensive because it's not as available.
Yeah,
it
because
looks
it
like
was
it's-
400.
It's according to the first Google search. It's about 550, 600 with the controllers.
Okay, so it's like 400 still. So that's kind of where
so
it's at.
400 on
Yeah,
its
it's
own.
just gone up because again, it's not as available probably.
And then the big boy, we have HTC Vive, basically Valve's stuff. There's also the Index, which is going to run you much closer to $1,000.
$1,000
The biggest difference
for
with
the high end.
Valve-esque VR products is they have room tracking.
Lighthouse
Yeah.
tracking.
Yeah. So
Which is the
basically,
best thing
yeah,
ever.
that is where you set up a grid in a square rectangle in your
Yeah.
room, and you can walk around that square, freeform in VR.
We all have VR, right? Correct?
Say
We
that
all have
again?
VR capabilities available?
Yeah, we all have each of the three.
Yeah, so which one do you have, Ted?
I am using the launch edition Oculus Rift.
Okay. I have a PlayStation, the first edition PSVR, like base
Yeah.
model. And then James, what do you have?
I got a Vive Pro.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You have the little cool remotes?
I have the Index remotes.
Oh, that's
you
the
bet
Index.
Well, yeah. So I did have the cool remotes, but
Yeah.
those remotes suck. By the way, they are the worst remotes. But the best thing about like the Vive is like most of the stuff is interchangeable. It all goes like the new stuff is compatible with the old stuff,
Okay.
but the old stuff is not compatible with the new stuff. So if you have like an old headset, you can't use it with newer lighthouses or
Yeah.
Right.
newer
Unfortunately.
controllers. So
Okay.
Yeah,
so
and-
it was kind of pain.
There's a whole bunch of different pros and cons depending on what you want to do.
Yeah.
The Oculus Quest 2 has a lot of tracking inside the headset, so you don't need to set up poles on the sides of your room to get to move around.
Where the
My
PSVR
Oculus-
plays off a camera and the lighting is terrible and usually loses tracking.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
PSVR literally lights up, and then a camera looks for those lights.
For lights,
So
yeah.
if you turn around 360 degrees,
It loses
the
you.
camera will lose track of you.
Yeah, it's similar to like Windows Mixed Reality, which I had first, which actually I think is probably the cheapest because it used to be $200.
Yeah. We
And
went over these. The big
cheapest because you have to
players
have a PC that can run it, but that had inside out tracking, which camera on the headset, and then it would like look at your controller. So if you put your hands behind your back, it would lose your hands.
Yeah.
You know.
That's PSVR, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
that's kind of what's out there right now. And Oculus has a store that is not comparable, or I should say, does not work well with Valve's products, and kind of sort of vice versa. But Steam and Valve has made a lot of steps to let Oculus use their services, which I appreciate.
yeah.
As somebody with an Oculus product, I can play Steam games no problem, but it does not work vice versa. You kind of have to fiddle around with some stuff to get a Vive to work on the Oculus Store, which has a lot of VR exclusives, unfortunately. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
PlayStation's just playing in its own.
exclusives.
Yeah, it's in its own
Yeah.
little sandbox.
And I think that the evolution of VR, which I don't think we have to talk much about, but just like getting those IPs to where they're just made for VR, I think has been kind of the standout, kind of what makes a VR device interesting. And I think PlayStation for a while was kind of the only one making like these heavy exclusives of like, but that's really shifted in the last like 3 years. I'm saying like the first year VR was
The
out,
first,
Yeah.
the first exclusives were
where
Yeah,
these Batman Arkham VR and like these like kind of bigger IP VR experiences, and now it's
This-
kind of changed, obviously.
I think this generation of VR launched with a lot of like demo-esque items, because like I forgot what it was called. I think it was just the Valve Laboratory or something. The VR Laboratory for the
Yeah, VR
original Vive was a VR exclusive set of mini games that was super cool. I played that in a demo setting at a LAN party.
Oh yeah,
Yes. And that was the whole, like you're holding a bow and you draw it back and you
Yes,
kinda
I remember
look,
that.
and then you let go. So there were a lot of demo-esque. Shooting gallery is kind of what the term you hear a lot, but demo-esque products, kind of short little experiences to get you used to it. And then we've kind of sort of had tentpole releases like I almost said Biohazard, Resident Evil 7,
Yep.
which had a full VR mode that a lot of people swear by.
Yeah.
Half-Life Alyx is a VR only experience.
Yeah, which is
So let's get to VR experiences in a minute. I want to first kind of talk about accessibility and comfortability, and I think why, in my opinion, VR is not meant for the house, and why Ted kind of in his first, discussion point, I guess we will say, he was saying that there's a lot of interesting applications outside of the house, like escape rooms. Disneyland has that thing on Disney, was it Disney Walk or whatever it's called, Downtown Disney, where it's a Star Wars experience where you put on the headset and you're stormtroopers and you're walking through like a series of rooms, but you don't see it, but you're actually physically walking because you're in the headset, which is a cool idea. I've never done it, but it sounds really cool. I think the big hurdle with why VR kind of sucks ass sometimes, and it's also sometimes my gripe with PC gaming, but it's less so, is it shouldn't be this hard to set up something to play a video game. And especially with PSVR, which is the one I have, you got to connect the little box to the PS4 that then relays to the other wires to that. Well, then also the headset has to be plugged in, and you got to make sure that everything's square on your face. You also have to make sure the move wands connect, but you can only actually connect one move wand onto the PlayStation 4 before connecting the second move wand while in the game, because if you connect two move wands, they think it's two separate players using two move wands. So it's all like this hassle of stuff. Oh, and then sometimes if it's too light in the room, it just won't work.
Oh yeah.
So for me, setting all of that stuff up for 10, 15, 20 minutes, which sometimes it takes, to then maybe not be able to play the game is like an instant turnoff.
Yep. And that is what Oculus is fighting the fight against. The Oculus Quest 2, right? Their whole sales point is a lot of that hassle is not there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're dealing with your eyes. I mean, it's kind of setting up VR every time is kind of sort of like a mini optometry visit. It is a lot of adjusting and focusing and kind of, A, B.
Yeah.
A. And that's just because, you're messing around with your eyes in a very new and different way. And we're not at a point technologically where you can just, be in another world.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fiddling with that. And if you do it wrong, which happens a lot with kind of the cheaper headsets, nausea takes effect. VR works just well enough to trick your brain into thinking, the floor is not where you think the floor is. Yep. And when your brain and the physical world are kind of not on the same level, instant nausea.
Have you guys fallen down while playing VR?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
I was playing the demo for Star Citizen VR, and I was, because it was just like free on PlayStation when I was like trying out, and I accelerated the ship and I was standing up and the ship went really fast and my body's momentum went with it, and I just standing up just went straight down onto the floor. Yeah. My dad said he watched me just fall over.
Yeah. So it's a complicated thing in general, which is kind of going back to going to a space, like a escape room style thing. You have a professional, hopefully, there to kind of do a lot of that stuff for you.
Yeah, or at least a college kid that's kind of knows what he's doing.
Yeah, right. But yeah, the Oculus is kind of the only one pioneering just put it on and go. So, and I think PlayStation suffers in that they kind of cobbled their VR together. I know they're coming out with a second one, supposedly. They've said they weren't going to do it, and they've said they were going to do it.
They've patented the headset and the move. Very similar to the Index controllers.
Yeah, they're going to have
because
one.
They were using controllers from the PlayStation 3 from a totally different system that was competing with the Wii
and the Kinect.
And the Kinect, and they kind of just brought yesterday's lunch to the table.
Which I think was kind of cool that they did that and brought VR to a very big audience, kind of right away. That hey, if you want to jump in on this, you just put it in your PlayStation. Rather than needing a giant PC that can handle it. Because this was at the time that you really needed these big PCs, right?
You needed at least a minimum 970, which at that time was still pricey. That alone costs what a PS4 costs.
Yeah, so they brought that, which I appreciate that they did, because it definitely opened up to the masses. And I've had great experiences in it, but also the hassle is not worth the... I'm not going to play a game as good as X. I'm going to play a VR game. Still a little stigma on that. So, James, how do you feel about kind of VR in the house opposed to...
So yeah, you brought up comfortability, and I wanted to talk about that. It's VR is not comfortable, not at all, anywhere near. Even with the newest, highest end headset, it is still not comfortable. You're still having this heater attached to your face that you have to stare at, and it's a pain.
Yeah.
And like you can't do long sessions well, at least probably at the start.
Yeah,
Alex
I
took me
struggle with
forever
long
because like I
sessions.
would take breaks all the time because it was just like nausea inducing sometimes.
Yeah.
With the Windows Mixed Reality headset, I haven't done it with the Pro,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not comfortable. And like if you want this to be like the future, people are immediately want comfort. So they're gonna try out VR and then like, wasn't comfortable. Like it didn't sit well in my head, or like caused some stuff. I'm not gonna play it anymore.
Right.
So if you make it more comfortable, like to me, less is better. So if they had like less, if you basically just had to wear glasses and you were like doing virtual reality, that's like the best possible thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if we had the
well, it's also there's
the
a
full
there's,
dive.
There's a lot of things. It's
where you
also
sleep.
a weight distribution problem. There's a lot of weight right here at the front of your head, and so moving around, you kind of feel like you're
The
lugging.
Pro is one of the heaviest headsets I think out there, and it's like a full rig. It's like you're wearing some like dentist contraption that's like your whole head.
Yeah,
Your whole head is
It's just-
consumed.
Just
Yeah.
everything is like
It definitely
Take-
throws off basic movements because there's this weight kind of where your eyes are.
Yeah.
It's kind of weighing you down.
yeah. So you're and then that's one thing. It's like you're almost never fully immersed. Like there's sometimes I am like there's little things
Yeah.
that will like be like wow that worked really well, that felt real.
Yeah,
And then sometimes the illusion dies.
I partially disagree. So I use VR right here on this chair for flight sim stuff. That's kind of why I wanted to check it out in the first place. That's kind of what I use it for. And if you are playing a game that the whole point of the game is you're sitting in a chair with stuff kind of around you, it works. It is really cool. Elite Dangerous VR, Flight Simulator VR, they work in really real ways. There are some minor issues that I'll bring up later, but just this idea of kind of looking around a cockpitted space, you feel like you're in a plane.
I would
You kinda
agree
look
with that.
down.
Yeah.
I've had some pretty transcendent moments watching the sunset in Flight Simulator from the pilot seat of a Cessna, just grooving.
I wanted to talk about like just very briefly. Have you had that like Ted just talked about like a transcendent VR moment of like this is really fucking cool. Like
Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course. It's like I feel like everyone has those
Yeah.
moments like where you're just like like I could look everywhere. I could see like the skyline, like or like you could see your hands move and like they move well. And the thing is with Oculus and with the Windows Reality, it's not as clean and smooth. But when you have the lighthouse tracking with Vive, it is like 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Exact like the exact like motion. Everything is tracked real well. So, if someone was gonna get into VR, like I suggest Oculus or Valve. Like don't go Windows Mixed Reality. Don't go. any of the other cheaper.
Definitely don't go cheap. If you're going to get into
Yeah.
this, go expensive.
Yeah, if you can.
And then it's actually a good time now because like I feel there's not a lot coming out soon. The highest end stuff like that Valve's working on is probably like a year or two out. But HTC is coming out with something. They're having this thing called ViveCon, I guess, in a couple weeks, and they're gonna release. I think they're releasing a new headset. They haven't said it, but they're like spoiling like little like images everywhere.
Yeah.
So if that headset's good,
Yeah,
could see something.
You talk about transcendent moments, and this will bring into kind of my biggest flaw with VR, but also my biggest excitement with it. I have a joystick, for flight simi games, and in Elite Dangerous, your joystick is modeled 1-to-1 with your movements with the real joystick.
That's cool.
So my transcendent moment was sitting in the chair, setting up the joystick exactly like how it is in the game, looking down at my hand and then moving the joystick and seeing it move 1-to-1 exactly the same. I think I've talked about it before on this podcast, but that was my moment of just like, I now feel like I'm in a different space.
That was
like for real.
Yeah, for me, my transcendent moment was in a cockpit for the Battlefront 1. They had a VR demo for PSVR that they like made just for PSVR. And you fly in an X-Wing and you're like in a space combat situation. But it was nothing to do with combat. It was just flying. And in the cockpit, I'm so used to like where you look like this and you turn your ship because you can't move your head.
Yeah.
And starting to get like used to moving my head while being able to fly a certain direction was such like a unique VR thing that like, oh, this is separate than the plane's movement, which was really cool. And looking like up and seeing the top of the cockpit and going like this to look around something, you're like, wow, the space feels real right now in this cockpit. Like, I think that's where it kind of, once you get walking involved, I haven't played a game where walking feels great in VR.
I have
Yeah,
not
and
either.
That's the problem though.
Yeah.
It's like you can't really do it unless you have like a lot of space. So if you're at like a VR cave or
Room.
VR place
Yeah.
where you can walk around.
VR cave.
And then also
yeah.
you have a cable most of the time. There are some, like with the Pro, you can get a wireless adapter, which helps, but again, more money. That literally costs $300 or something like that.
Holy shit.
It's the pricing is insane. Like you're spending so much money, and then is it worth it? Like,
Right.
are you getting a good experience, or I don't know. To me, it's still like not quite there.
Well, and James, you've played arguably the most
Probably the most. Yeah.
well-renowned VR game, though, which is Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah.
So how did that feel? Like, did it still feel very VR-y, where like you felt trapped in the headset, or how did it?
So I have the Pro now, and I want to go revisit it.
Okay.
But playing with the Windows Mixed Reality, and still my thought to this day, it's one of the best VR games I've ever played, and probably one of the best VR experiences I've ever had.
Yeah.
Everything was so smooth, and how everything worked with the environment. It was like you're pretty like assimilated into it. But I want to return to it with like a better headset, with like it has an OLED display with the Vive. It's really nice with the better controllers that were meant for Half-Life Alyx. To me, that is still the pinnacle. It is the best movement, the best shooting, the best environment I've ever seen.
That's kind of
They put so much effort into it, and that's the thing. Like this was their like this is what VR can be, and still no one's like come close to it. It's been a year. Nothing's come out. So we'll see what happens next year. But
Half-Life 3, baby. Mark it. It's going to get announced this year. Jake's winning that prediction.
So they're supposedly, Valve's working on a lot of games.
Yeah.
Who knows how many of those are VR, how many of those are just like,
They have
hey, we're working on a game.
the people that made Firewatch are making some VR game for them.
That was a good pickup. I love that they bought that.
Campo Santo. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember their name. So, Ted, VR flight sim enthusiast.
That's me.
Talk about these outside of the house experiences that you think maybe this is where VR is going to flourish.
So
if you're
this
ready
is
to go.
where VR breaks for me. Is I talk about my highest high was seeing the joystick, my lowest low, and it's not even a low. Apart from the optometry visit, that is figuring out the blurriness, and like I'm someone who should be wearing glasses right now and doesn't, and that is definitely a problem.
You can get prescription lenses for your headset.
Sort of. It's still kind of I think the Oculus Quest offers is developing kind of a thing you can place in
How
there.
much is that going to cost you?
Yeah,
You could like get them like third party.
Yeah, and I don't trust my vision care to a third party. Not yet, anyway. But no, my biggest low is that I'm holding two sticks, two controllers that kind of sort of mimic my hands, but not really. And to bounce off of that, there's no tactile response when I touch something.
Yeah.
So as someone who spends a lot of time in a cockpit in VR, the coolest thing I think would be is to reach out and touch a button, and either that to work, just my hand do that, or to get some kind of tactile feedback of like, you've hit that button. There's a great game, I believe it's just called VTOL VR. It's on Steam, which is
VTOL's really good.
Yeah, it's a VR game that doesn't require a flight stick, but it is that whole like you're flying a jet fighter. And a big part of that game is you're holding one controller down here, which is the stick, and then the other one you can kind of touch the buttons and set up missiles and blah blah blah. But you're just coming up to it, you're putting your one finger out and you're kind of just doing this, and sometimes it works and it's kind of funky. I really think that the controllers and your hands need to be the next big step. We need something that's just like, hey, five fingers, 5 buttons.
VR gloves has been worked on for so long. There's there is like
Power
one
Glove
out there.
1987.
It basically did Power Glove, but there's one out there that they've been working on, and they cannot get the price down. It's $10,000.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted one, they just cannot figure out how to like make the components to like get it like to a price point where someone like everyday Joe can go buy it for their everyday VR headset.
That's crazy.
Which is not out there. Yeah.
I think the biggest holdups to VR is just kind of immersion stuff, and that's kind of why I think a VR-cade is kind of the way to go, because there are kind of bungee cord contraptions and kind of multi-directional treadmills that can kind of make you feel like you're running when you're not. All that stuff is not for the home.
Yeah, unless buying a multi-directional treadmill.
Yeah, unless you were straight up willing to convert your garage into like a hollow deck, which some people are, but that's definitely not a mass market thing. You're not going to get these fully immersive like truly like,
Yeah.
on a next level immersion level. And I think that's where this needs to go. You need to be able to just look around a space and start touching things with your hands and feel it back to you in some kind of capacity. And we're just not there.
Yeah.
Like even with the controllers, you feel like you're holding controllers. You don't, yeah.
I would be very interested, and this just thinking about because I've been playing Returnal, the DualSense vibration and how the Returnal is using it. I wouldn't be surprised if the next gen PSVR controllers have that vibration integrated.
I would hope so.
Where you are feeling exactly what you're touching, because honestly, like, I know it sounds so dumb that like the vibration is like changing the game of like how immersed I feel into a video game. Is how much now I'm feeling in my body and hands. So I would agree that, but I foresee that maybe they'll have some sort of technology in that to get that receptive.
And those are the kind of jumps that VR needs. Is
James, what were
whatever
you saying?
like we talk a lot about exclusive games and like what's the next big thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a game. I think it's technology. It's what clicks that button in your brain that successfully tricks it into forgetting it's in a bedroom. That's where VR needs to go. Is doing a better job at tricking your brain.
Yeah, but you also need a killer IP because, I mean, new tech lives and dies on an IP that it can get behind. The Wii only survived because of Wii Sports. And then they just kept trying. They kept trying to do Wii Sports. Like, they kept trying to find ways to replicate that.
I believe in if you build it, they will come. If there is a killer VR headset that is mass market available, games will come out, and those games will be interesting at the very least.
James, what were you going to say earlier?
Yeah, so I'll say with that... with the PS5 controller, basically the games are built around it now, like or utilizing it. I know that you can use the PS5 controller on like your PC, but I'm assuming that there's no way like PC games or even like games that were meant for PS5 coming to PC, which could happen.
Yeah,
maybe not anytime soon. Maybe a year from now, will work that same way. Can they utilize that functionality?
Yeah.
That's just me like thinking out loud. It's just like okay. That controller, like that, it has revolutionary.
And it's a thing I really hope sticks. Like I really hope that becomes the norm because I can't wait to talk about Returnal. We'll save it. I feel excited. My final thing, unless Ted, do you have other things percolating in the top of your head?
Not really. Just I would say that VR is a great playground to try new and weird stuff.
Yes.
There are so many creative ideas.
Dude, super hot.
In the Steam store and on Oculus. That are just neat. I will always bring up this game called Phantom Covert Ops, which is a tactical stealth shooter in VR in which you are never not in a kayak. So you take your hand controllers and you are kayaking through the swampy, dark forests, and then you put down your paddle, and then you pick up your weapon with your VR controller, and then you pop people off a dock, and then you paddle away. It's the dumbest, greatest thing, and it only could have happened because they were limited by VR. Because they knew you were going to be stuck in a chair with two kind of mittens of controllers, and you can't really do much. So they built a game from that. And there are so many other games that are just neat and creative because of VR, and I think if you build it, they will come. But the games out there are definitely worth checking out just to try a new experience.
I would agree. The final thing I want to talk about with VR, and it's really directed towards James because I don't think Ted or I have utilized this service, VR chat. I know that you socialize, like with you and I, we socialize across Discord like we do with the podcast, but we do it without the podcast going. We're actually friends in real life. And
actually,
Ted and I aren't. We're arch nemesis. He's like the Gary Oak to my Ash Ketchum,
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. You're the Seto Kaiba to my Yugi Moto.
There's
James,
a reference.
who are the heroes of Bakugan? Can you give me the heroes of Bakugan? I'd like to be that.
I have not. But Bakugan was like after I was.
Ted,
all right,
Ted,
no,
do you know
we're
what Bakugan
right
is?
now. Nope, we're done.
Bakugan is if marbles were like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Ooh, I'm back in.
Ted,
no, I'm not. Let's stay on topic.
Yeah.
So okay. Anyways, Bakugan, cool shit. A bunch of kids, when I was a camp counselor, played Bakugan. Anyways, we had to remove Bakugan from the camp.
What about Beyblades?
Beyblades were a big problem. Yeah. Some kid threw
I had the metal one, and it would cut my arm.
Yeah, that was a weird show.
The metal one was definitely an unfair advantage. Like, what the fuck? What the
They
fuck?
had a metal rig in them.
Yeah,
you could
where
just
was the
destroy
tournament?
these plastic
Where was the
ones.
tournament regulations on Beyblades? What the fuck?
So James, I want to talk about VR chat because you've utilized that a lot, especially during COVID, to socialize.
Mm-hmm.
What is like your perception of that being kind of another tool that VR can be utilized for everyday people?
There's VR chat, which I think is the most well known, but there's also like a couple clones that have been coming out. Neos VR isn't one of them, but they're utilizing Unity, basically like a Unity kind of platform.
Yeah.
And they provide basically the servers and like the sandbox, and the creators can make the worlds, can make the avatars, can like how you interact. And VR chat recently has like grown immensely. Like I think a couple weeks ago they broke the record. They had 50,000 current players on one day.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Servers couldn't handle it. They just recently started pulling funding, which they have a subscription service now. You spend $10 a month and you're like supporting them. It's called VRC Plus. And then they like can streamline features. So it has like little features here and there. It's like you get like a couple icons, like nothing like pay to win, but it's just, more of like support for this free service. Again, it's not something you have to pay for, but you can. And I think from my experience playing this past year, it's really unique to talk with someone from Norway or Denmark and like interact with them, like moving your hands, talking with them and hearing their story. And like it is nothing like talking over the phone or something like that. So that social aspect of VR is really close to IRL. Plus it has this added benefit of, let's say like I go to a party, which there's a lot of parties in VR chat, and there's like drinking. It's like, okay, I can just drink, and like you're like drinking in your home, which sounds sad as hell, but there's other people, so you're not really drinking alone. And it would be like if I went out to like a bar, it's like, okay, great, it's like it's fun, nice to drink. I don't have to spend like $20 for like a goddamn shot or something like that, or it's like I don't have to worry about getting home. But you could like have that kind of experience. And then recently, what I've been doing is a friend has been turning on me. Is there's been like these kind of rave events on VR chat. They've had there's this artist named Muzz from I guess he's from England.
Okay.
Who's starting the first VR music tour. Like he's basically like in VR chat, like touring these clubs. There's clubs in VR chat, and performing in cool. VR in like you would in real life, like have an actual like music tour. Because EDC got canceled, or Las Vegas did. So they pushed it to
Las
October.
Vegas got canceled?
No, Las Vegas. They were going to be a testing ground for
this
immunity.
big EDM concert. So the EDM community is like alive in there. They have like giant maps with stages and lights and people like talking and interacting.
It's almost a moot point at this point here, but VR is kind of an incredible thing for things outside of video games.
Yeah.
For in terms of just experiences, because I too have heard a lot about this idea of VR raves or VR clubs, kind of a thing, where the scenario is the same. You're going to stand in kind of a pit-esque area and look up at a band or a musical performance. And that sounds fantastic in VR, especially in a world now where we can't go to those things, where they're still not opened up. That's awesome.
So Sony. Sorry.
Okay, but I was like, one more thing is like I've met so many people, and then I find out like, okay, this person has agoraphobia. They can't go outside. They can't like be out crowds. Like there's like people with either like physical, like their disability. Someone I've met is mute, like I actually can't talk, and using VR chat as an outlet to communicate and like interact with others. It's a really beautiful thing. I really do think there's like a VR therapy there for the future, like to treat PTSD, which I heard they've been working on, or some of these conditions that people have. It's like that's one aspect. Like we were talking about gaming, there is like a whole nother route for medical that VR can be used for.
I think the virtual reality space is way above gaming. I think video games is just the
they're using it for police training recently. I was reading on like so there's VR is there, and like I think it can get more immersive. We're strictly talking about gaming, but like I've seen like kind of potential.
That's like Oculus works with the Department of Defense and stuff for projects. I just jumping on what Ted was saying, kind of you with the raves and stuff. Sony was doing that program like a few years ago with PSVR, where you could buy a ticket to an NBA game through VR and put your headset on. They'd you'd watch it on like that 360 camera. was like, that's really
cool.
cool. Like, that's such a cool,
Yeah.
like, hey, go watch the Lakers game
There's
tonight.
so much stuff that can
Yeah.
be done. I'm definitely looking forward to the future of it. Currently, it's like I know what there can be. Like I know what the next level is, but
I would agree.
not there.
That was great. That was a great topic. Now,
You're welcome.
we aren't talking about the future right now. We're going to talk about what's happening right here, right now. Ted has not played anything, so he's not even going to talk.
I played a little bit of something.
What did you play? You want to tell me?
I played a little bit of Titanfall 2.
Oh, cool.
Oh, good.
Tell me.
So yeah, Titanfall
Please
2
tell us.
is
A brand
back
new
in
game?
the news. Out of nowhere it seems.
Yes.
Apex Legends, which is made by Respawn, who also made Titanfall. They dropped Season 9, which has some specific references to Titanfall 2, as well as
The
some
main
other
girl is like a daughter of someone, right? Like
Yeah.
the main character
Specific
is
lore,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a direct line. I was reading into it. Apex Legends takes place like 20 years after the events of Titanfall 2, in kind of this post-war no man's land. Apex is the name of the mercenary troop that all of the bad guys from Titanfall 2 are a part of. And I guess after the war is over, they needed a way for income, and they decided to make a blood sport, and that's Apex Legends.
Have you played Titanfall 2 before?
No, I never have.
So you're playing the campaign.
I'm playing the campaign.
Okay, cool.
I am at the level that everybody talks about.
There's 2, and they're both fantastic.
Yeah. And I'm playing it on ultra wide. I have 3 monitors that are way too big.
Nice.
So this is my first kind of ultra wide experience, and I'm playing it. It's a lot of fun. It's a weird playing other shooters, especially Call of Duty Warzone, a game we've played a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those games have a lot of recoil, and you feel very planted to the ground. And this is the opposite, where the guns just shoot straight ahead. Nothing
recoil.
is going anywhere. It's just dead on. And then you just hit the sprint button and the jump button, and then you're flying across a wall.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a strange transition. But boy, that game is the story is the premise and the story is rough for sure. But if you can just kind of get over the initial like why am I here type stuff, it's
Everything
pretty
you do
fun
in that
romp.
game is so fun.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's like, don't ask why you're doing it, just enjoy doing it,
Yeah.
and you will have a lot of fun. And I've been really enjoying the mech stuff.
Yes.
I love.
Anytime you're the Titan.
Yeah, it was pretty clunky at first. It kind of takes some getting used to, but the jumping in and out of your mech, it just feels awesome. Like,
Yeah.
it just feels so cool. And then fighting other mechs, I don't know. Did you guys ever play Virtua On at an arcade back in the early 2000s?
I saw it. Like I know of
Yeah.
it.
I kind of know what
It's
you're talking
like-
about, though.
Yeah, it's like an arcade game where 2v2 mech characters fight each other. You have 2 joysticks, and that's how you control things, and you do combos based on. It feels a lot like that. Like I kind of started to Saturday morning cartoonify this game, and in that sense, it gets really fun. Of just like, yeah, this dude's got a sword, and I've got a rocket. Let's fight.
Yeah. Just
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So
Nice. Are you
Titanfall
playing
2 still
multiplayer
good.
at all?
Nothing yet. I
Okay.
know there's a free event. It's free for everybody this weekend. Sorry,
Yeah.
this is going up on a Monday. You missed it. But apparently that multiplayer community is not only alive and strong, but like growing.
Yeah.
Like,
it's growing, yeah.
To a point where Respawn has acknowledged that, like, hey, our Titanfall 2 fans are like getting out
I'm
there.
wondering if they're gonna shift. Like it's like okay, maybe we pull some of our Apex team, move it over to Titanfall.
there's
Or
a-
we do like
They say, smoke on the street. As
they're developing Titanfall 3.
They are developing a new game, and Apex
In the
Legends has been put to their B team.
Yeah.
So
'Cause
they're
they have 3 teams. They have
Yeah.
the
Okay.
Jedi Fallen Order team, whatever. They're making another Jedi Fallen
yeah,
game.
they're making another
And then you have the Apex team, which is like kind of the consistent, just people in and out. And then they have this new team that's making something in the Titanfall universe.
yeah.
Okay, so
Like they've said that.
you don't think they would go back and support like this growing community that's happening?
They're gonna make Titanfall 3 for sure.
I think they would rather make a Titanfall 3.
Yeah.
I
than-
don't think they'll go and open up that battle pass, get that money.
No.
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 Because they already have that with Apex.
Yeah.
True. But you can get more.
true.
No, I think they would rather make a Titanfall 3 and really hit the ground hard with that. Titanfall 2 got robbed.
Yeah. Got put out like right next
EA
to
It did,
Call
yeah.
of Duty.
EA announced, it came out the same week as Call of Duty, and EA put it out at the exact same time as Battlefield.
Yep.
They put out 2 first-person shooters at the exact same
On the
time.
same day.
Yeah.
Weird. James, what have you been playing?
Okay.
Okay.
So I've I have games that I wanted to play.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to play.
Okay.
So,
Story
but
of my life.
eventually, I'm gonna try and play it this week, which is Warhammer Vermintide 2. They had a recent update that was pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I want to check out that. But what I have been playing is a lot of Overwatch.
Oh.
Actually, I think Overwatch is gonna have a turnaround real soon, because they've done these little changes here and there.
They have a sequel, and
there's
the
no-
guy just left.
Two is not gonna come out
No, Jeff
this
Kaplan
year.
just
Is
left.
probably not gonna come out next year at this rate. This new
That's
guy
okay.
is just like, he had an interview and it was like, okay, yeah, I'm just filling in the shoes and getting things going. Yeah, there's something missed there.
Yeah.
Also, 2 is heavily focused on like the co-op kind of like Left 4 Dead style.
I mean, it's the same multiplayer, yeah.
Yeah, so that's like you're having this different dynamic of a game, but 1 right now is having like a really interesting meta where almost everything is similarly balanced or returned to the old state. Like where characters who used to do these one thing can now do them again,
That's
which
cool.
would be like Roadhog can like hook and like kill a Junkrat like before, like that was
Oh, like in
that
one
should have
hit,
been
yeah.
happening all the time. So they've buffed certain characters, they've reduced some, and then like I'm getting used to the new characters that I like never played, or like I left and then came back, and it's been fun. Like I'm not playing like competitive, but
Yeah.
just the quick play aspects, getting in there with friends who want to like fill.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played. They have like different like modes. They actually have the kind of AI modes that they're gonna have in Overwatch 2, and there is something there. I actually think like having the 4-person co-op story type esque mission, like there's like different things. Like there's one where you can only headshot only, which that was pretty fun. You can
That's cool.
only do headshots to like kill enemies, or there's ones where if they have a shield, they're invulnerable, so you can't kill them. You get to like go around. There's these little things that they're like teasing in Overwatch 1 for their next game.
That's cool.
However, because of that, it just feels like they're just throwing stuff at you and they're not introducing any new content. There's like probably no new character is going to be introduced anytime soon.
Yeah.
They're just pumping you with skins. They're like pumping you with their like
Overwatch, I mean, Activision's microtransaction aside, Overwatch is in a weird spot where they've announced a 2. So you're not going to get anything new for 1.
But one,
Well,
but
no.
the multiplayer is the
Things from
same.
1. Yeah.
The 2 multiplayer, you can play it in 1. 2
Yeah.
is just
The
going to
2
be single
multiplayer
player.
is 1.
Yeah,
but what 2 has is like the co-op
Right.
aspect.
Right, but they're not going to release new maps for Overwatch because that'll just get rolled
No,
into
well,
Overwatch
that's what I'm saying.
2.
They're not releasing anything.
Yeah.
Just skins, and that's what I feel like is like, why? If you're gonna have the same multiplayer, why not like start introducing stuff to your base
Well,
game?
it's
and
because
like,
they're in this really awkward spot where releasing sequels isn't what you do anymore. You keep a live service game going forever.
Yeah.
they should have. I mean,
Yeah,
Overwatch
but,
2 is
but
probably the
also
dumbest thing they ever announced.
Actibliz releases products, not services. So, it's like, what do they do?
There's no battle pass in Overwatch, is there?
No,
No.
So weird.
No.
they really should have changed their model to what everyone else is doing, where you have these updates, like what Warzone recently did with
Yep.
their new update.
So,
which-
can we talk
Amazing.
about Warzone?
yeah, so
Because, okay, so we're going to talk what I've been playing. Let's start with Call of Duty Warzone Season 3. Came out 2 weeks ago. Weird map changes. Kind of, they took everything back into the past, went back to basically like Black Ops time to 1994, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
And so certain aspects of the map are readjusted to be in the past. So certain things aren't built yet. There's no dam in like the riverbed.
That's cool. It's not It's not a brand new map. It's like a
Yeah.
change. Okay.
it's like a reverted map,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
So like some parts are still exactly the same, which is kind of cool. I actually like that. Like it's not just a brand new map. But there's like probably 5 locations that are like really different, and then there's like little changes here and there. So like in downtown,
quarry.
Ted, like there's that big tower in
Okay,
downtown.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
there's
sure.
like a big tower. It's like half built, so like you can't be at like the very top of the tower anymore. It's
okay.
like a half built tower. Like quarry has become a salt mine.
Yep.
Where the dam used to be, it's now like a summit, and it's like a mountain pass area, and there's like a riverbed. So it's really cool.
The
There's
array
like
site.
there's like little changes, and then a lot of new weapons introduced. I think it's a great little next season without like really altering what Warzone is. I don't think you can have it without Verdansk anymore, just because it's like such a staple of what that game is.
Yeah, that seems like a solid place to put it, is somewhere in between like brand new and something you remember. So that's neat. Yeah, it's fun.
So like that way, like when we jumped in playing, we weren't like completely thrown off of like, oh shit, where do we even go?
I was
anymore?
a little thrown off, but
not,
still, it's just,
yeah.
Like, where do I go? Okay, let's try this site. We go there. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Right.
that's why no one's dropping here.
Back to airport. But I think the update's really cool, and I think that the battle pass actually has some really cool little like emblems and stuff, and it's $10 or whatever.
Oh, so let's talk about the battle pass.
Okay.
I think out of any game I've ever played, this is the most worth it battle pass I've ever seen, because you can basically have a perpetual battle pass. So, in the battle pass, you can get enough currency to buy the next battle pass.
They took that from Fortnite.
If you're playing. Is that a Fortnite?
That was like Fortnite's big thing when they first.
I didn't even know Fortnite.
That was like Fortnite's big thing is like you get this and you do it all, you'll never have to buy another one.
Yeah, so if you're actively playing Warzone, you should not have to like ever pay for a battle pass,
which is awesome.
Except for once, maybe.
Yeah. I think that's what's really cool about it, and I think the rewards are pretty good. Like
they're good. Yeah, you get guns, characters.
I saw some
skins,
calling cards and I was like, oh, I'll get that one.
Yeah. It's a good grab bag.
Yeah. So I recommend you play Warzone. Ted, you're gonna drop in the zone with us this week. All right, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Missed you last week because we started early and we got burnt.
Yeah, we got destroyed in some games. It was rough.
I mean, we made it. God, we were cooking. Like we were like getting the end game set up, and then every single time is this circle was just like nowhere near us, and people just waiting outside.
Yeah, we got boned. We had one really good game. Okay, I want to talk to you boys very briefly because next week's the big review. But I got to talk to somebody about Returnal. It's Housemarque's new PS5 exclusive IP. Housemarque developed games like Resogun, Super Stardust, a lot of arcade style cylindrical games.
They make games around high scores might be
Yes.
a way to describe it. Arcade style of like you're going to do the same thing over and over again, but you're going to try and do it better every time.
Yeah, and every game that they made was a twin stick shooter. Usually, if I believe, like I don't think they made a game where you pulled R2. I don't think it was all twin stick. So. What is really cool about Returnal, which is so funny that they did not market this game very well at all, and I think it's an utter shame.
No,
because,
I mean only you were the one I heard it from.
Yeah,
like for the longest time. That's it.
I didn't even know what it was until like 3 or 4 weeks ago when they released a preview. It is a roguelike. It is
roguelite, right?
Yeah, what's the difference? I know there is.
The light is the one where you keep playing and you get like more and more stuff.
It's a light.
Like, so
it's a light.
A roguelite has progression outside of each run. A roguelike,
okay, so
you start from square one every single time.
It's light.
That's it.
It's roguelite.
Okay.
Because you do perpetually upgrade.
Nice.
But yeah, it's like Hades. I mean, it's and
Ooh,
dude, it's fucking. This game's phenomenal. Like I know I get hyped on games, but I'm like all into Returnal. The environments are very cool. I've been in 3 biomes. I think there's more. I did look at the trophy list today, and I had beaten 2 bosses, and there are 6. So I was like, oh shit. Definitely thought I was in the last area. I've played about 10 hours. But yeah, it is it's a third-person shooter roguelite. And the shooting feels great. Because it's Housemarque and they make these arcade games, it's all about movement. You don't stand still. I think what the coolest thing about this third-person shooter is... Oh, sorry.
It's almost like a bullet hell.
Yes. So
okay.
can I finish my
go
point really quick? Because what I think is really cool about this third-person shooter is that it's not a cover-based shooter. I think like every third-person game right now usually is cover-based or sneaking around and shooting.
Kind of.
This game is I'm holding down the trigger and I've got to scoot around these guys as fast as possible.
Cool.
It is really cool. I mean, I can't believe how well this game plays. It is bullet hell. There is stuff flying at you, but what's really cool is it's not really bullets. It's more like these orbs. So like it feels like an arcade game. Like they're firing like orbs at you and you're jumping over them. You're dashing, behind and through. And as you're progressing through that, you're finding new weapons. You are finding new equipment, new artifacts, and then you can also upgrade your suit a little bit. My one kind of complaint, and maybe it's somewhere hidden in like the menus, I haven't really found where it shows how many times I've upgraded certain parts of the suit. And a lot of your upgrades are like max something. So like you're increasing the amount of health that you can get.
So
upgrade-wise.
What are you doing?
Okay.
What is the game?
Yes. I'm trying to be brief because we're really going to talk about this next week.
I see.
But
no,
it's
give
okay.
Me,
I'll give you a bullet point. So
give me a 2-second premise. Just what's the first 5 seconds?
You're like an astronaut.
Okay.
You crash land on a planet.
Mm-hmm.
You walk around. You find a dead body. The dead body is yours. You grab the
I
pistol,
hate it when that happens.
Right? You grab the pistol and
It's like, oh shit. Here
start
we go
running
again.
through the map, and you're choosing, main path doors or side doors that give you extra like loot. And when you die,
Nice.
you die and you restart the whole thing, and it shows your ship crashing.
Okay.
One of the coolest things about this game, you turn on the game, and it's all that SSD shit, man. You turn on the game, and within like 10 seconds, it shows the ship crash. There's no main menu. Ship crashes. You're starting a round.
Beautiful.
Insane.
I love that.
It's like
That's a clean.
it's like 5 seconds. They don't even
Remember
show
So
the
sorry.
menu.
Remember
Yeah.
Outer Wilds?
Oh, yeah.
Outer Worlds. Which one?
Which one are you talking about? They're both
The
their
one
games.
where the world explodes, like the universe explodes.
Yeah,
and you
Outer
restart.
Wilds.
yeah.
Outer Wilds, yeah.
Outer Wilds. That it's like it reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Like where it exploded and you
You're just
immediately like
boom.
wake up.
And there's like a cool
And
little
it's like, hey,
cutscene.
were you saying something?
Yeah, there's a cool cutscene of the crash, and like there is a through line story about who this lady is and her like past. But I really think this game just succeeds in how clean it plays and the variety, and I think the fact that it's pretty unique in this third person like AAA third person shooter roguelite. We usually roguelites are indies, and they're
Yeah, this is. We should talk about this. This is $70.
and I think it is
What?
I think it is
70 Dolores.
100% worth it.
Really?
This game is
70.
one of the best looking games. The HDR, the ray tracing, and 4K and 60 frames all at the same time on your PS5. There's no choosing performance
and you
or
are
graphics.
PlayStation 5 4K TV.
Yeah,
You're
PS5
up
4K TV.
to date.
I'm up to date.
According to Best Buy, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think my refresh rate's probably the best. It's a very old TV, but it's a 4K. It's like the oldest 4K you can get. But dude, and then I want to just briefly talk about the controller because the vibration, like we said, it's insane. You feel all of the like in the first area, it's raining, and you feel the rain the entire time in your palms. Every raindrop you feel footsteps, you feel every time you pick something up. But then the adaptive triggers are actually used. Each weapon has 2 firing modes. There's its primary fire, and then there's like a secondary fire that's like a stronger attack. And you pull the left trigger down into aim, and it like stops. And that's your primary fire. And you push it down even further, and that's the alt fire. So you're using the left trigger to like switch between fires, which is really cool. I mean, it's like just using these new ideas that the PlayStation controller has, and it's nailing it. I don't want to talk too much about it, but I think this game is phenomenal. I'm going to play a lot more this week and have a lot more thoughts.
Cool.
Can't wait to hear more.
Yeah.
It's great. It's really great. I'm really excited to see how well this game does, and hopefully they produce more. Housemarque's a great studio anyways, and the game just looks stunning. The particle effects, man.
Can't wait.
Yeah, definitely recommend it. 70, I get that's a lot, but that's what games
I
are.
want to. I think is this one of the first games that is at that 70 price point released on PS5, or
Yeah.
was Demon Souls?
Demon Souls was 70.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if this.
And, like,
$70
NBA
is
2K
kind of
and
sort of
shit.
the going rate. Yeah, 2K is doing
That's
it.
the new. I know the new.
That's
Is
the new
where,
AAA price.
PlayStation 5 games seem to be settling.
And Xbox Series X games. If they're
They
if
all,
they're third party, they're going to be
Yeah.
70. Yeah.
Um,
I'm very curious if Xbox first party games stay at 60 because that's a win for them as well.
They'll
But
stay
they're on
free
Game Pass.
basically.
they'll,
with Game Pass.
they'll stay a monthly subscription.
They'll stay.
It's true. So yeah, I can't wait to talk more about Returnal. I think it's a fantastic game. If you have a PS5 and you want something new to play, this is a game, and you're going to play a lot of it, and it's very repetitive and engrossing. So definitely recommend it. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Nice.
we'll talk more about Returnal next week. Thank you so much for watching the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, episode 53. That's Ted. That's James. I'm Jake, and we will see you next week.